This is episode 3 of Walk and Talk. This episode is about secular humanism. Secular humanism is the belief that human logic and reason is the most reliable way that we can identify problems and solve problems. And it also disregards all supernatural impacts, including God. I am a secular humanist, and I think you should be also. Since I left Christianity and say that all religions are fake and man-made, people ask me, well, what do you believe in then? I often tell them that I don't want to believe in anything, but I think a better answer may be, I believe in secular humanism. I believe logic and reasoning is the best way to identify problems and solutions in our life. And I believe expecting or believing God to do anything is completely irrational and unjustified and even foolish. I ordered a book today called The Humanist Manifesto 2000 by Paul Kurtz. It's apparently a very short book, only 77 pages, so it will be an extremely easy read. And I believe it is also just an update to one of his previous writings, which was like the Humanist Manifesto 2. I also contacted my local American Humanist Association group today and spoke with a guy on the phone. I'm probably going to be the guest speaker at one of their monthly meetings next month. After I left Christianity and concluded that all religions and supernatural claims are mythological, man-made stories and lies, the only thing I could depend on was logic and reason. I can prove that Christianity is false and that the Bible is completely man-made and full of lies and errors and contradictions. I had to use logic and reasoning to conclude that God is unreliable and that the Bible is not the holy word of God. So now what else can I learn from using logic and reasoning as my foundation for my life? Up until now, I have viewed Christianity as my target audience because I was a Christian and I thought they wanted to know how I could know Christianity was false, but they don't. So I'm going to try out a secular humanist audience and see if I can be more productive. I started to write a book about how to solve the world's problems before I even realized that I was actually a secular humanist. Now I'm doing more extensive research into what secular humanists have concluded before by reading some of these humanist manifestos and interacting with these people that identify as secular humanists. So let's talk about how to use logic and reasoning to come to appropriate conclusions and even better conclusions than what you come to as a believer in God. Look at all the atrocities that are taking place all around the world, and we're not even aware of most of them. I believe all war is evil and unjustified. I even believe that building up this massive military so that you can threaten and control people with violence is wrong. The God of the Bible has no problem with war. In fact, you might even call him the God of war. The Old Testament calls God Yahweh of armies many times, as he's commanding people to completely eradicate entire groups of people, men, women, and children, and even their animals. If secular humanists were in charge, then we wouldn't have war. War results in the mass extinction of human life, and that's not good for humanity. If there is a leader of a country who wants to do horrible things, then we should just remove that leader from authority. There's no logical or rational reason to send our 18-year-old sons and daughters to die for the cause of the leaders of the world. And while I'm talking about leaders of the world, a secular humanist should conclude that people often abuse positions of authority, and that needs to be held in check. Term limits can be very useful for limiting people's authority and power, but we also need to have effective and efficient means to remove people from office. Greed is another root cause of great atrocities in the world and injustices and inequities. I looked up today what percentage of people are millionaires in the world and came up with about 10%. People who have a lot of money think they're more worthy or capable of making decisions for the rest of us, but yet the rest of us are struggling to survive. The top 10% of the richest people in the world could solve most of the problems that we have in this world, but it doesn't suit their interests. A humanist would look out for the betterment of all humanity, not for the elite few. Capitalism is a system designed by rich people so that they can stay rich and so the poor can stay poor. Inflation only benefits rich people. You see, the rich business owners can set their own price for the products that they sell, and they raise their prices, which is inflation, so that they can make a higher profit margin while the people that are buying their products are struggling more. At some point, the 90% is going to have to stand up and let our voices be heard against these rich and powerful capitalists that are getting richer off of our poverty. And I'm not advocating for violence of any kind. I mean a unified, consistent, overwhelming response to not buying their products or standing in unison against what they are doing. If you're interested in solving problems with logic and reason rather than superstition, then give me a follow. Join me on this journey as we identify real problems and real solutions. God has had his opportunity to fix our problems and failed. Now it's time for us to take up the reins.